This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Another fine morning here in the Sabi Sand at Djuma Game Reserve. The sun is just peeking out, but you can see lots and lots of cloud cover, and we have plenty of plans. You know, this overcast weather, wild dogs, maybe a leopard. In fact, I want a leopard, and we're going to check out the Hyena Den. So exciting stuff on this wonderful fine day. A bit of a breeze, a little chilly, but gorgeous. So jump on board, everyone, for your live safari through the African bush. Good morning, everyone. I hope that you are all well and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed this morning. I certainly am. Not as bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as yesterday. I had a slightly less coffee this time, trying to control myself. But I think the bush is going to surprise me and fill in that little coffee gap that I've got. Hi, everyone. It's me, Trishala, and it's Impo on camera today in Djuma Game Reserve. And like I said, we have lots and lots of plans. I think first port of call, go down to the Hyena Den and sniff around there, because whenever I'm around there, I have a lot of space, like this expanse in quarantine, a lot of space to hear well. And that's super important in the bush. I always find that my sense of hearing is equal to the sense of sight or vision when trying to find an animal. So we're going to stop quite a lot along the way as we're driving, just to stop and listen. I feel like I need to hear a leopard sawing. I need to hear some hyenas whooping. I need to hear some elephants trumpeting and some wild dogs calling. Wouldn't that just be incredible? I think so. Well, remember, this is your live safari, so do chat to us. Send us your questions, send us your comments. Let's have lively discussions using that hashtag WildEarth or at FC on the YouTube chat stream. You can also go up to our website, register there, and then use our question box to send through any of those comments or questions that you may have. Also, any kiddies under the age of 18, you're welcome to use kids' questions at wildearth.tv and send us what you like. I'm really glad to see that there's a bit of sun peeking through. There's a lot of cloud cover, but it doesn't look like it's going to rain just yet. It was spitting just a little, but nothing too terrible. It's always interesting when we're out here in quarantine. Quarantine, unless you're going to the north, is the first place you'll pass when going out into the reserve. And it's a very, very productive area. So it's always good to kind of stop here and wait for a little bit. And that's why a lot of the time when we open the show, Tristan and I, we're on quarantine. And that's because it's a valuable place to be. So many signs and signals, and you can see for quite a distance. So the signs I'm looking for on quarantine would be lots of antelope or a lack of antelope. And at the moment, I'm not seeing any antelope. That may give me a clue to some predatory activity, maybe last night or this morning. So once I notice that, I'll see if there's any other signs, such as tracks, smells, sounds. So far, can't see anything or smell anything, but I can hear some sudden white-crowned shrikes. Well, let's get a move on and see what the bush gives us today, with all of you on board. I love it. I love that I get to experience things here, and then you all are with me. I actually want to take... Okay, let's take this road. So here in Djuma, it's about 19 degrees Celsius, 67 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's a good temperature. It's good temperature for all animals except mongoose and other small critters. Could lose heat easily. A lot of you are hoping for some elephants and leopards. Well, I will tell you. So, you know when you're out in the bush, you have some crazy dreams. I don't know what it is. I guess it's the intertwining of having a conventional lifestyle with which we grew up, or when we go back to the city after our stint, and then a combination of that and then the animals that we see here. So you end up with some crazy dreams. So I had a dream recently, in fact, not last night, night before, that there were 2 leopards near our rooms. And then the elephant that has been terrorizing camp, or terrorizing the marulas around camp rather, saw those leopards and then sat on it. See what I mean? Strange dreams. So perhaps looking for elephant and leopard is not a bad idea. Although I must say I have never been clairvoyant in my dreams before. Well, hopefully not. If we find elephants and leopards, we definitely won't want the elephant to be sitting on the leopard. Sound of the woodland kingfisher just lets you know you're out at the right time. Oh, would you look at that? Would you look at that? It's not a spotted friend, but it's got a very nice coat. Let's go have a look. It's been a while since I've seen some of these. Hello, dear striped friends. Welcome back to Djuma. I haven't seen these guys in a long, long time. I'm sure you've guessed what it is by now. If not, Paul will help you. Some zebras. Awesome, awesome. What a wonderful way to start the morning. Well, we're going to send you over to Swallow so that they can actually say hello to you. And we're going to hang around with these zebras to get your questions ready.
Good morning and welcome back to that fantastic, beautiful, shall I say, moonset. That is just incredible. So, I'm Johan, and behind the camera this morning is Morgan, and we will be your team in the Kalahari this morning. We're going to try take you quickly back to that moon as it's quickly disappearing, actually. We watched a beautiful, I want to say, fireball this morning, actually seeing it actually disappearing as it was sitting right on the top of the dune and coming through the tree line on the top there, actually. But so beautiful seeing the reddish colors on that moon coming through, and it's because of the windy structures we had last night, and from the wind that's been blowing, it creates quite a lot of dust particles because the red soil's in the Kalahari, and so that red soil's creating red dust, and then obviously as the moon's setting, you got that whole dust pollution line basically that's in this particular spot, and then as it comes through that horizon of dust as it's setting on the western section, it literally gets to that point that you'll see that beautiful fireball shape, obviously very different as opposed to where it's straight up into the sky and whatsoever. because then you got a thin layer of dust coming through. But as it's setting in the west, you typically get to that point where you get that beautiful fireball from the red sands. So yeah, that was really special to share with you guys actually first thing in the morning as we come across. What we're going to do is we're going to travel down the road a bit this morning. We're going to look for some cheetah and see what we can do. We're going to send you over to Pridelands.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a wet and overcast eco-training Pridelands, where the weather is clearing slightly, but there's still some on the horizon. It was a very wet night last night. We had close to 100 millimeters of rain. Johan and I went out, we said hello, and then down came the storm. Hello everybody, my name is Steve, joined by Johan on camera, and as always, very excited to have you with us here on Pridelands. And our plan for the morning is to try and sort of do some animals close to camp here, just in case the wind or the weather that is developing in front of us there doesn't bucket down on us again. We got back just in time as the heavens opened. There was that torrential downpour kind of rain. But we're here on Impala clearing with a wonderful herd of zebra. And obviously our family of impalas that are making lots of contact calls. It's going to be quiet for a moment. Don't forget to send through any questions through to us here at Pridelands that you'd like to answer. Impala all feel like they have to be just over there. One moves and another moves, and then suddenly they off. These herbivore animals are all very susceptible to predation in the weather. First of all, the wind and rain make it very difficult for detection of predators, and now it gets very slippery. Hooves are not designed for the mud. A foot or a padded foot, far more movable, far more ability to splay open, to grab purchase in the mud, where the impala and zebra hooves slip and slide. Okay, well, we're going to move around this area, see what else we can find for you. We're going to send you back over to my good friend Njuma Trishala.
Seems like a zebra morning. That's awesome. Here they're really, really relaxed. Look at this youngster. Look at that. Rolling around. That's always a great sign that they're feeling nice and relaxed. Although we did hear one alarm call and a bit of attention brought to the western side of quarantine, so we'll check that out in a bit. But at this time, when the rut is starting to creep in, one impala alarm call is not a great lead. So there's about 5 of them here at the moment. One's just walked off behind us. I love how the youngsters look really athletic. Not to say that the older ones are not also equally beautiful in their own way, but the older ones are stocky, more stocky, but the younger ones are very sleek and athletic. Daniel, that is an interesting question. You'd like to know if zebras mark their territory. Well, so this is a plains zebra, or Burchell zebra, formerly a Burchell zebra. And they're not territorial. So males, stallions may be territorial or protective of their harem, but they do not have a territory that they need to demarcate and to scent mark all over the place and to protect. So the difference between a territory and a home range is that a territory is an exclusive area, an area that's protected. Just hang on. An area that is protected against either a whole other herd or protected against the same sex, but it's usually protected against same sex. So, for example, leopards are territorial. So a female leopard won't let another female leopard into her territory, but she'll let other males. But zebras are not territorial. Plain zebras are not territorial, but they do have a home range. A home range is an area of movement that is not exclusive. So they don't scent mark at their territory boundaries because they don't have any. And they can have really large home ranges, anything from just a few tens of kilometers to over 500 kilometers squared. I'm just going to keep my voice a little lower while we listen. They're looking out to that area, and at the same side I heard that single, well, it's twice now, alarm call from that side. Let's take a look. It's been a while since I've been on Western quarantine, and that's the direction from which the sound is coming and that they're looking in. Yeah, let's go have a quick look, and we can swing back around. In fact, we'll have to pass the zebras again to get down to the den. Oh, a few drops of rain, but nothing crazy. Alrighty, let's check it out. Let's cross our fingers and toes. Hope we find a predator.
February is the month of love, and nature is no exception. Tristan and Trishala will be igniting the flame to discuss the bonds formed in the African wild. Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire on Sunday, the 28th of February. Wild Earth Explorers. It's in your nature.
Well, one track here in front of me, and then one track went right there. I want to follow the track with the cubs. Sorry, I'm gone behind the car. That's very rude of me. I want to follow the track with the cubs. Oh, my word. Oh, my word. Okay, so everybody, we've just bumped into Pride of Lion.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
croc is still holding another one there. It's holding from the hindquarters. I would really want... The wildebeest cross, is it trying? The croc is holding the tail. It's holding tight. Oh no. Goodness me. Lucky, lucky wildebeest. You have another day to live.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. What is my favorite animal and why? I think I'd have to say a lion. Being able to try and follow them and understand their movements and dynamics is super interesting. People often underestimate them and think that they sleep all the time, but once they get up and start moving around, they are fascinating to watch, and watching them interact with one another is a super highlight for me. If I can pass on this passion and this enthusiasm for lions and prides of lions into a guest that's sitting at home, that's what I'm really going for.
Well, we are now on the western side of quarantine, but I don't see any evidence just yet. But eyes are peeled. I'm just gonna tuck in here. And let's have a nice look around. Ooh. There's a very, very long spider web near me. I don't see anything of interest just yet. Well, at least in terms of interest of what we were looking at, or what we were looking for. And no sounds to help us either. Important to sit and wait, though. How beautiful is this large marula? Isn't it stunning? See, when we stop and listen, we also get an opportunity to look at the beautiful trees. Anyway, I'm going to send you over to Swallow, and I'm going to have a listen and investigate on this side of quarantine.
Welcome back to Tualu. We have, as we've just literally come through this area further south and west on the reserve, we're looking for cheetah tracks, and suddenly we come across this beautiful Porcupine Coil. Now, this is very interesting, thinking about how the Kalahari system works, especially talking about if you start talking about defense mechanisms and things, how animals actually survive in a given area like this. And the porcupine speaks loud and clear about defense mechanisms as you look at this particular coil structure that you see here. Now, just to give you a bit of idea where this coil actually fits into a porcupine's picture, basically, if you can zoom in a bit here, Morgan. You can see there, if we look at this porcupines have got several different functional coils, and this particular coil is part of this short, well, not short, but it's a shorter type of coil as opposed to the long ones that you see there. And looking at this ones over here, basically, that's the hard structured coil. That's the one that we've picked up on, actually. And those ones are the ones that he generally defends himself with. So on this picture, you'll see that the coils are quite like sort of erected, and it's sort of like it's pulled over the whole body. It's because this particular porcupine was most probably disturbed quite a bit, and they erect the coils like that, and that actually opens it up on the skin. And so he doesn't shoot out the coils like the typical cartoon character situation formations and so on. So it gets to a point where that loosens up, and then whenever something touches it or tries to attack it, then that is the coil that he protects himself, because it's hard, stocky, as well as being in a situation of basically protecting itself, like a sharp like spine or a thorn or something like that. But you're looking at a situation like also there's these different functional coils on the top of the head actually as well, Morgan, if we can zoom in here again quickly. You'll see that these coils on the top of the head, those ones are like hardened hair basically that you're looking at here. So, excuse me, so you'll find on those guys, it literally, because a porcupine has got a very soft head on the skin section, so on, that is what unfolds, it literally folds down and protecting the head from that point of view, but it's not nearby as sharp and spiny as that shorter coils that we looked at. If you look at this one on the top end here, you can see that one is just a longer, harder coil, just protecting the neck and the backbone material structure there. As I said, that coil, that's the one that literally gets to the point that will be sharp and spiny, as in the knives or the spines that he carries. And then the short little black ones all over the body that you can see there. So those little black ones all over the body is little short, well, like tiny little ones actually, that's quite hard actually. And that is just to cover the soft underbelly, the legs and everything down there. But the priceless situation here on this situation, if you look at the tail coils, I don't know if we'll be able to see it that nicely on this porcupine, but yeah, the tail is a short tail, but it's got hollow coils all around the bottom of the tail as it is. I want to, if I can block it off like that, that coils at the bottom end below my finger. So that's it's straw-like coils actually. And so I don't know if you ever have done the situation where you stick a straw down a glass of water and you literally get to a point where you obviously fill it up with water and you close the butt in top of the straw, and then it gets to a point that it'll literally keep the water in that straw. So these coils, porcupines would go off to water holes and water points and so on, and they will actually reverse their bum into the water. Those straw-like coils will then get to a point where they suck up the water, do exactly like the straw with a glass of water, and then they go back to the burrow systems where they've got like a family unity that stays in that. Like it typically starts where you'll have like a aardvark that digs a hole, and a family of porcupines after the aardvark is left after 2 weeks or so would come and arrive, and they would mate and have the youngsters within that hole. And then once the male or the female has gone off to the water point, when they go out for the evening foraging, they literally store the water in that hollow coils, straw-like coils, and they take it back to the burrow system, and the youngsters will drink at that burrow system from those straw-like tail coils as it is. But yeah, I mean, that's incredible thinking about it, how nature is so wonderfully designed in that formation, thinking about how it works together for survival, from coils protecting itself like that formation up to being so hard. I mean, if you look at that as it's bending and so on, and you can't really bend it as it is, but from sharp protection to survival methods to straw-like carrying water coils as it is, really special. We're going to send you over to another beautiful destination.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to And Beyond Pinda. So this morning we've been going around and we've been checking carcasses. There are quite a lot of carcasses around the area, and as a result of that, there are quite a lot of vultures as well. And that is what we've first come across this morning in our kind of pursuit of carcasses and scavengers. And this is the first scavenger that we've come across, or predator. And this is the white-backed vulture. It's the common of the vulture species in our area here in Zululand. But like most vulture species, it is actually critically endangered. Maybe one of the wider ranging species, but quite a lot of the vulture species are actually critically endangered due to poaching, unfortunately. I'm Kim, and behind camera today we've got Simon. Yeah, so I mean, we've been checking carcasses, and the reason there are so many carcasses at the moment is we had quite a big storm a couple of days ago, and 2 giraffes were struck by lightning. And I don't think I have to go into that too much, just logic will tell you because of their height makes them susceptible to dangers such as lightning strikes.
and unfortunately 2 succumbed to that fate the other night. So there has been quite a lot of vulture activity around those 2 carcasses. There's also a dead buffalo, which I think that Chad was with last night, with you all, if you were watching last night. We did check that buffalo this morning, and the lions that were there have moved away. And these vultures are actually quite far away from any carcass at the moment. So there may be a carcass inside of this bush that we can see in front of us, or they might have just flown away from the other carcasses to get a bit of a rest from the activity around there. There's often it's quite an active scene being around a carcass in terms of scavengers. There's lots of fighting and hissing over the carcass, especially when there's a whole bunch of vultures. It's an extremely noisy and yeah, it's a very noisy scene. It looks like these ones are just roosting up there. And often what they will do, and like I said also, we did go and check the carcass, and I checked it yesterday, and there were hundreds of vultures around it. This morning there weren't so many, and often what they'll do is they'll leave the carcass at night time, maybe fly up and roost in the surrounding trees, just kind of get out of the way for some of the larger predators or scavengers. They don't want to have they don't want to be impaired, or their senses impaired by the darkness, and put themselves at risk at night. But we are going to carry on. I think that these lions have been found, so we're going to head over in that direction. And while we do that, we're going to send you over to Pridelands.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, we've repositioned to find, excuse me, our large herd of female impala. Now just on the other side of the drainage, I think, trying to escape the wind. Excuse me. I think I have a frog in my throat. Now what's interesting is there's no adult male with this group of ladies. I think all sorts of things went down last night. There were hyena tracks all over the place. It's very likely that there was some hyena activity, chasing. And after chatting with Brent and VM yesterday from Painted Dog, they say the hyenas here hunt regularly according to what they bring back to the den. They've got a webcam there that looks at the Hyena Den. They bring semi-full impalas all the way back. Don't have a huge lion population in this area at the moment. There's one lioness that's been hanging around, and soon I'm sure there will be a pride establishing itself within this area. But there are certainly leopard. We've had many tracks. And as discussed before, these animals, they don't do very well in the wet. You can see how wet the ground is around their feet. Very muddy, kicking off the mud. And just in our camp last night, we were slipping and sliding. They're all looking pretty relaxed considering, regardless of the trauma faced in the night. They seem to overcome it very quickly. But in saying that though, when you look at this herd's dynamics, nobody really wants to be on the edge. Everybody's vying for central position. They are in very good condition, everybody. This year, all the animals are going to look very, very good and healthy. Plenty of food around. And after this rain, any sort of wilting of the vegetation is going to be reversed once again. Many of our wildflowers will probably resurface. Many of the grasses that have gone to seed might reseed again. And it's so interesting how the rain falls, because it seems as if Juma didn't get any last night. It rained and rained and rained during the show, and then we were back at our tents, and the lightning and thunder rolled over camp once again in the middle of the night with enormous amounts of rain. Ooh. What's going on, ladies? You're a bit jumpy. KG impalas are regarded as mixed feeders. It's one of their evolution adaptations that sort of sets them above some of the other herbivores. They're able to eat the grass when it's good, and they're able to eat the leaves and trees when there's not much grass. They'll also eat fruits and forbs. So very, very adaptable. Very small mouth parts. Very selective. So you get the three types. You get grazers exclusively, browsers exclusively, and then mixed feeders. But even the grazers will take a small amount of leaf, and the browsers a small amount of grass. But essentially, they feed primarily on their favored foods, whereas the mixed feeders, impala, nyala, for the most part, very selective. Bushbuck, taking all the good stuff that comes and goes. Jalen, yeah, I mean, inbreeding out in these parts it happens, but due to the fact that the male impala doesn't normally survive the breeding season, so the male impala that impregnated the females last year, majority of the females, or the number of males that impregnated this group of females, and then all of these babies that are here, it's unlikely that adult is going to be sort of available for a second year. It just puts so much effort into it that they often just wear themselves out or get eaten. So at least that is eliminated from the picture. And then it's the biggest and strongest male that will then compete the next year. So his genes will then go in and then mate with the females again. And then it takes a few years before any of these young lambs that are male are old enough to then breed, and only the strongest of them will compete and get the right to mating. And by that stage, the impala generational sort of loop has changed quite a bit, and the genetics have been spread across, because a number of males will mate, and always the strongest. As I've discussed before, sometimes males will jump the gun and demarcate their little territory sort of area too early, and he doesn't survive. But sometimes a male who does get some of the mating in doesn't finish it, and then someone else takes over. So there's already a sort of mixture in that regard. And these females will move from area to area, even though that male might try and keep them in his area. It's not always doable. And you do get males that sneak around the periphery, mating where they can. So basically in natural populations where There's natural predation, there's wide open spaces and natural movement of animals from one area to an area. Inbreeding is eliminated to a massive degree, but it still does occur. It's in small reserves, fenced reserves that require enormous amount more management to ensure that inbreeding is eliminated. So in these natural populations in places like the Kruger where the fences are, it do encompass the entire reserve, but it is 4.4 million acres, 4.4 million acres, just the Kruger. That's not including all of the other smaller reserves around, like Pridelands has been included in with Bulule, the Sabi Sands. Oh, Mom, can I tell you something? Just something quickly in your ear. Last night I was so scared. There's a little bit of aloe grooming going on over there. So being open to the Kruger, the Sabi Sands, and Tsimavati, Bulule, all these animals have the potential to move in and out. Although impala do become quite sedentary, which means staying in one place, there's nothing to stop individuals moving from one population to another. And what happens in breeding is it leads to deformities. That spur fowl's going to come through the middle and show us his boss. What happens with inbreeding is it leads to deformities, it leads to loss of genetic fitness, it leads to individuals not being able to be as physical, might even lead to deformed horns or misshapen horns, which will then prevent a male impala from competing. And inbreeding is, for the most part, through those deformities, is whittled out of the population in a natural sort of way. Only the strong will reproduce, and only the strong will survive. Strong individuals do also get picked off, don't get me wrong.
When on safari, there's nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
What are you looking at, man? That's its gangster face. It has the manners of a common variety vagabond. Look at it, chewing with its mouth open like that.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at Wild Earth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed. Hello, Mama. Just checking us out, everybody. There's no aggression here. Very relaxed. A herd of elephants moving around your car like that is truly, truly magical.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
Africa is very special, and when you come down here, even when you're watching through our camera, the landscapes change from desert to bushveld to up in the Masai Mara where there's grassland. That means that the biodiversity changes as we move along Africa. And what I love most about connecting with you guys is the fact that I get to share these wonderful experiences with thousands of people.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
Welcome back, and look at this bizarre looking thing on the ground. That is so interesting, and there's actually a whole plate of them coming through here of these plants. Now, this is actually a Hemsbok cucumber, or it's part of the wild cucumber family basically. But as we just spoke about how animals protecting themselves and how this ecosystem speaks up about a tough environment to live in as it is. As you look at this spines on this, or spiny looking like formation on this cucumber, it's actually speaking up again about protection and trying to protect itself, as we're obviously limiting animals feeding on it quite a bit. But you know what, looking at fruits like that, there's a lot of animals that could actually eat on it. If I can show you a bit on those spines that you're looking at there, you can see there it's quite sharp, those spines. If you look at my finger being a sort of causing an indentation there, that's quite hard. But animals like porcupines and things would actually feed on the cucumbers quite a bit. And so I don't have a knife to cut it open for you, but yeah, it is actually quite interesting. You can actually take this cucumber and cook it on a fire and make it like a golden color formation, and it's very nutritious. But it's very bitter in color. I mean, bitter in taste as it is. And so it comes down to a situation that as it is in that formation, it's one of the food sources that you can actually make use of in the Kalahari as you travel through the dunes, walking in these dune formations in a desert environment. Now, typically, a few weeks ago, we were looking at some brown hyena, and we spoke about brown hyena also making use of resources like this, for instance, and so on, but also looking at the tama melons and so. And a lot of animals that loses out on nutritional value would go for things like that and just chow on these cucumbers as well as the tama melons, just for nutritional value build up as it is, and so. But yeah, very interesting seeing stuff like this. Now, why is it called the Hemsbok cucumber? Well, there's various different explanations that could be coming up to this situation, but it's literally looking at that spiny structures on it, and looking at the typical structure that could be like the horns on the oryx as it is. We're going to show you once more, one last shot there of the cucumber, and then we're going to continue going a bit further down this dune street and see what we can see coming over across. But yeah, just wanted to show you the resources that the Kalahari is also providing the area with for survival strategies and structures, as we've been talking about it over the couple of days that's been passing by and so on. But yeah, very cool. Look at those spines and sharp tips on that protection structure there. But yeah, very cool. Let's take a drive down the road, and we're going to continue looking for this cheetah down in this area and see what we can get. Now, typically, as I was saying to Morgan this morning, driving through an area like this, the dune tops are very, very nicely highlighted in the tops of the dune streets, basically, at this point. And so it is in this situation that it's good enough for cheetah as well as wild dogs, especially hunting perfectly in the dunes, to come up to these peaks of these dunes and scout early morning over the area. Obviously, as you can see in front of us, having to look at the sunlight highlighting quite a lot of materials in front, it's a fantastic time for them to hunt, while the nutritional value is extremely high still in the early morning, and the plants and everything. So as animals like even the brown hyena or something like that, even porcupines coming through the area, feeding on those fruits that we've been, well, the actual greenery like the Hemsbok cucumber in the environment, that is basically in a situation where other animals come through, like your predating type of predators coming through, hunting on animals consuming on this environment. You can see there's another Hemsbok Cucumber that's coming past. But yeah, that is why we're covering the dunes at the moment. And just going to continue going through here and see if we could get those cheetah that we were looking for this morning. We still haven't really got tracks yet, but we're going to continue looking over these dunes as it's one of the best homes, for one of the good homes for cheetah in this environment. We're going to send you over to Pinda.
Found these lions that we were looking for. A little bit more exciting than what we were expecting to find. The male's just lying down on the grass there. But yeah, it was pretty cool. We got around the corner. The lioness was walking very fast towards something, and she was vocalizing quite vigorously, quite loudly, and we could hear a male lion vocalizing off to the side, and they kind of walked up to each other in quite an interesting reunion. It's always interesting with lions because the lioness was acting all excited to see the male walking quite fast towards him, but then as soon as he arrived, oh, big yawn, she gave him a few claps across the face with her paw, so not seemingly very happy. But yeah, he's been sniffing her and kind of following her around just in the short time that we've been with them. They've covered a bit of distance where he's just been trailing along behind her. Every movement she makes, he follows. But generally, it's the female who will initiate the mating, if that is what's going to happen here. Don't know if it is because she hasn't really invited it yet. She'll kind of sway her behind him under his nose and kind of encourage him to mount her. We haven't seen any of that. She is flicking her tail rather vigorously, which is also a bit of a sign that she's possibly almost ready to calling her aggressive in her telling him to get away. Okay, I think I'm going to try because they actually are on a road there. I'm just worried about losing you as we move closer, but let's have a go. Just go nice and slowly. I want to try to give you the best view of these guys as possible because this male line is there you go. It's also quite pretty with the sun shining through his mane from behind there. The other thing we saw when we arrived here was 3 little cubs running off, not the little ones, but the kind of 1-year-old sub-adults running off in one direction. They haven't reappeared yet, and I wonder what other members of the pride are around here. And it looks like now, if this female's left those 3 to come away with the male, it might also be another sign that she might be ready to mate. There you go. See that flicking of the tail? That's, he's not doing it. That's a sign that she is kind of inviting it. So he's really not leaving her alone. There's Busani in the background. I don't know if some of you might be familiar with him from some of the shows. I wonder where they are off to. Yeah, she might just be leading him away from the pride, and that is what will happen. Generally, if they are going to be mating, they'll be moving around for the next couple of days, just the 2 of them. They won't stick with the pride. They'll be off by themselves. Oh, she's lying down behind that bush now. He's doing some scent marking. Gonna spray almost directly at her, which is lovely. I would be quite unimpressed. Looks like he's spraying right over the bush at her. Yeah, Matthews, they're pretty big. A male lion can weigh about 200 kgs. Oh, see, we got a little bit too close there and you got a proper what for. I think we'll just let them settle a bit. I think he's a little bit shocked that he got that reaction from her, plus the noise of the vehicles moving. We'll just let them settle a bit, and then I think I'll also try and get a little bit closer. Shame, I mean, he hardly tried too hard there. He just tried to have a little sniff, because I don't know if you saw that she actually urinated a little bit, and he was just trying to smell that urine and see if his pursuits are going to be productive. All right, we're going to get a bit closer. While we do that, we're going to send you over to Trish.
Sounds like some awesome stuff happening at our other locations. On this side, lots of leads, lots of things to follow. First most important one were male leopard tracks in the north. But everybody who's been trying to follow it has been unsuccessful, including myself. That's where I've been the last few minutes. And it's possibly for Tingana. Tingana was seen a couple days ago on our fire break in the evening after showtime. It was about 3 days ago. Fire break and then heading into Simbambili, just near the gate. So it would have been really, really awesome to see him. But there are 2 stations in Buffelshoek just in case he's crossed. So I can't get into Buffelshoek, but that's okay, because we have other things to follow up on. I really wanted to go to the Hyena Den, see those guys, because tomorrow will be Tristan and my last day for this stint, so you got to cram all of that in. So I'm going to head down there, also check out on tracks and stuff, and I'm send you over to Swallow.
And look at this gorgeous animal walking down the road in front of us. Now this is an odd-looking antelope as well. A couple of days ago, if you remember what we've been seeing, we've actually framed up a beautiful sable antelope. Now this is another subspecies of that family unity that we're looking at here, is a roan antelope. So roan antelope is quite an endangered species of antelope that you find in Africa. And they used to occur in this northwestern corner of South Africa, all the way across to the areas of Zambia, Zimbabwe, areas like that. You could find some of them as well. But yeah, such a gorgeous species, looking at that rusty color, the beautiful coloration. What I'm going to do is we're going to just pull a bit forward and just see if we can get a bit closer there, just to have a good look at these facial structures and everything. That's very beautiful, seeing the detailed markings on this antelope. Really, really gorgeous. Guys, how stunning is this environment we're looking at as we're coming down this dune formation? You get this beautiful Kalahari image of all these stunning camel thorn trees in this area, and with the grasses coming in, displaying in together with it. Such a gorgeous environment as it comes through together. So we're going to try put him up on the screen again, as he's going to turn out there. Possibly, yes. Obviously, he's going to stop behind the bush. So what he's doing now, he's actually marking his territory. As you can see, he's piling his dung there as he's defecating. And yeah, like most of your antelope in the Kalahari, there's a lot of territorial specimens out here, and so they will battle against each other quite a bit for territorial dominances. And so once there's a winner bull, he'll take over that area and do exactly this type of behavior that you're seeing right here now, taking over the environment. Look at those donkey-like ears that you can see there. It's such a cool antelope, thinking about how they live in the Kalahari in this environment, having all these different adaptations and so on for survival strategies and structures. Now, if you look at the clown face markings in the face, there's a lot of white as well as black in the face. And the white markings is particularly reflecting quite a lot of heat and sharp light intensity from the sun off away from the face. And the black is attracting, but you'll see the black is sort of in a structure where it's quite a lot towards the nose, around on top of the nose and so on. So it's literally in a formation that there's quite a bit of pushing away of sharp light as well as attracting sharp light as it comes through. So you got these formations where they possibly forming these convector currents that floats on the facial structure, just trying to keep it cool. Let's just pull a bit forward again and see if we can get another shot of him there, as there's so much more about this situation that actually makes them so successful. Oh, there's an owl that just flew out there. Yeah. Let's just pull forward. Maybe we get that owl in daylight as well. I think it was sleeping in the shepherd's tree here. You see another one. Let's pull back a bit there. Yes, that's cool, man. So the spotted eagle owls will sleep in these shepherd's trees quite a bit forward. Okay, just stop me when you got it there. Morgan is sitting on a bit of a higher angle here. Oh, there we go. He's hopping around there. So he's just hopping around. It must be a nest that is in there, actually, that was coming in across. You can see just the movement in amongst the little twigs and the moving branches. There we go. There's a bit of a head coming out. But so cool seeing that stunning youngster coming through here. There's another youngster that just flew out here, and they were sleeping, and most probably just because of the noise of the vehicle coming past, just got a bit of a fright. Look at that yellow golden eye just peeking through that stunning leaves of the shepherd's trees coming through there, as we spoke about the roan antelope that came through. But yeah, looking at that owl, I mean, that is so fantastic. So obviously these owls will sleep in daylight, and you don't really see them at all at daytime and so on, because they go into these dense crowns and canopies. And even the sociable weaver's nests, you'll find them sleeping on the top of those on the top of those sociable weaver's nests. They like nesting, but because it's quite up high on the tree and everything like that. But yeah, very cool, checking the detailed markings. Generally you're battling sometimes at night to get all this stunning colorations coming out. But yeah, beautiful seeing this guy in the tops of the branches. Now, why did they choose such dense destinations and places to actually sleep and tuck themselves within and so on? Because it's a good covering with that stunning splash coloration that he has, with the dotting, spotting formation that he blends in of the crown and the thick crown of the shepherd's tree that he's sitting in. So you could easily see how you could miss this animal by just driving past, just because of the coloration that he's got there. But how stunning is that golden yellow eyes that you see there. And there you can see the coloration of the spotted markings coming through. Very cool. So obviously later on in the evenings they will get to a spot where they'll hunt from a destination like this. And as you can see, the eyes from a predator point of view, being a raptor bird, they obviously hunt on mice and rodents and things at night. So they've got what you call a binocular vision. And so the eyes will be situated in front of the head, so they can scan and look at long distances, doing exactly that, being like a binocular vision, that they look at far distances looking for mice moving across the roads and so on. And this tree where they're sleeping at is right next to the road. And so you can see this is a good destination for them to actually get active from again, from this position. So hopefully we're not going to disturb him as we keep on going. We're going to just drive a bit further to the front. I don't know if this roan is still around. But yeah, see if we can still get a nice shot on them there. Let's just go a bit forward here. Yeah, no, definitely I agree with everybody else saying that they're amazed to see an owl in daylight at Tswalu. That is definitely a fantastic sighting. It's always nice to see the day active animal, or the nocturnal animals being active at daytime in this area. It looks like our roan antelope moved off. Oh, there he is actually through the dense bushes there. We'll try to frame him up again as we go through. But yeah, coming back to the roan antelope, as I was saying, the antelope families are quite widely pronounced in that antelope family from being Bovidae family. So these guys belong to narrow it down to a better description. They belong to the arid antelope family unit as it is, and arid horse-like antelope family. Yes, he is in such a difficult position. Maybe we'll get a gap there on that bush. But yeah, as I was saying, so because he belongs to that arid antelope family unit as it is, Starlight, you wondering if all antelope have horns? Starlight, that's a very good question. There are some antelope that doesn't have horns, like the female antelope, especially of some specimens and so on. You'll have like the male version of a waterbuck, for instance, will have horns, the females doesn't. Impala is obviously the same thing. You'll have males having that beautiful horns that go straight upwards and it flares out to the sides. Whereas if you look at your females of those antelope, they don't represent horns. And typically those animals that doesn't have horns on that female antelope, it's just because they live in big herds and they generally have territorial males that looks after them. And those guys would be rather, shall I say, hyped up on their senses in safety and numbers unity as it comes through, as they help each other out rather in good sight and protecting each other in that formation, and rather get out of the area to avoid confrontation and so on. So I wanted to frame that roan antelope again, but yeah, he's gone into such a difficult position there. We're going to see if we can rather get another one. But as I was saying with the roan antelope, as they belong to that Hippotragini tribe, as they belong to the arid horse-like antelope family, they get to that point where they have got all these adaptations and all these cooling mechanisms that they have to get to that point where they can survive in this hot climate environment. Their big nasal cavities and the nostrils that they have, it gets to a point that, well, they've one of the antelope with the biggest nasal cavities and nostrils. So as it is that they breathe in a lot of cool air, and that nasal cavity is literally being in a situation, in a formation where the blood, one of the main veins flowing right underneath those cavities, and the oxygenated blood passing through underneath that cavities, passing straight through the brain, is having that oxygenated, cooled down blood that passes through the most important organ, being the brain, and that cools down the body immediately in that formation. So proper adaptations and designs for these animals, shall I say, that is made to survive in this environment. Very gorgeous. So we're still looking for these cheetah tracks as we continue going west. About 3 days ago, I had a fantastic mother with 3 young sub-adults, or young adults, shall I say, that's been coming through in the dunes further northwest of here, and this is why we're missioning off into that direction. Now, these animals will respond quite a bit on wind direction, wind movement, and so on. So as the wind was blowing from the north, from the rainy direction, or where the conditions comes from generally, it's been pushing from that side, because these animals all hunt skew into the wind or upwind. So I would presume that we should be going further north from that last position where I had that cheetahs actually the last couple of days. So we're going to just continue going further northwest and see if we can get some of their tracks, track them furthermore, possibly get them scouting over a dune top. Be very special. But yeah, such a beautiful, gorgeous environment as we drive through here as well.
February is the month of love, and nature is no exception. Tristan and Trishala will be igniting the flame to discuss the bonds formed in the African wild. Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire on Sunday, the 28th of February. Wild Earth Explorers. It's in your nature.
Oh, my dear, I do find you most attractive when you're covered in bird lice. Oh, Charles, I love it when you peck at my head and clean the bird lice off me. Let me say hello to Barry here. Hello, Barry. I'm just going to examine you for some bird lice. Charles, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. Oh, all right. I shall look for bird lice for myself then.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at and beyond Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through and beyond Ngala on Wild Earth. Send me live questions through the Wild Earth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
What makes and beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve so special is our massive array of habitats. And with that comes, of course, a beautiful diversity of landscapes, but also an incredible biodiversity in terms of plants, bird life and animal life, as well as, of course, our conservation success stories with cheetah, with rhinos, now with pangolins too.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
We're at Treehouse Dam, where our hippo, resident hippo, is bobbing up and down. I had a good feeling, well, not a good feeling, just a feeling of let's just see, because the amount of times I've come to Treehouse Dam just on a whim to have a look at the hippo and see what else is happening at the edges of the water, have I found Tlalamba hanging around here. So I had a hope, but it wasn't fruitful this time. Still a very beautiful scene though. The dams are so wonderful and full, and it's just gonna get full, I expect, especially with the rain that looks like is gonna come this afternoon, because the clouds are starting to accumulate quite a bit. Game drive radio, let's just turn you off for now. While we enjoy really peaceful moments here, maybe as we wait and watch what the edges of Treehouse Dam look like, maybe Tlalamba will wander through, maybe someone else will. We wouldn't know until we just stop and listen. the wind is starting to pick up quite a lot as well, and the clouds actually moving very fast. So we're gonna stick around within 5 Ks of camp, because Mpo and I just have a reputation for getting caught in the storms. And always when we're together, we just get absolutely drenched. So we're keeping it a little closer to home. And being at Treehouse Dam, I'm sure you know what's right behind me, or between Treehouse Dam and Philemon's Dip, is the Hyena Den. So let's go and pay our little cubs a visit. I hope that they will be there for us. On this type of day, I'm sure there'll be a lot of action going on. This is where we had our male fiddler crab, there we go, the other day. Steph, you'd like to know where the hippos sleep? They sleep in the water. There's 2 things that they could do. One, they could stay in a shallower bit of the water so that their head is constantly exposed in a relaxed state, but for that to happen they'd have to be in fairly shallow water. But there is another way as well, but we'll chat about that in a moment. I'm going to send you over to Pridelands quickly.
Morning, everybody. Go ahead, Renat. You're most welcome to make your way. She's mobile on westerly direction. Sorry, east. Morning, everybody. Sorry about that. We found a lioness. Is this Lagatha? You're most welcome. She's relaxed, mobile in the road, directly towards Marshall's side. How cool is this, everybody? Look, she's got a very big cut on her head. Oh, hello. Don't go into the thickets. Other people want to see you too. Oh, no. She looks a little bit full. Oh, sorry about my head. I wonder if any of you can tell if that's Lagatha or not. How cool is that? Now, Johan was just asking me, will the predators be moving in this weather? Well, there we go. Yes, they will be. We're going to have to reverse back now, get her again. The Franklins are shouting up ahead. They've seen a lion. Now, her belly's quite full and she's got a big cut in her head. The cut could be from an animal hoof or it could be from another lion, but I don't know. I'm not sure. We didn't see it. Okay, we're going behind the car. Unfortunately, we can't show it to you at the moment. There's someone in the way. Back on the road she goes. So, we already found a lioness. How cool is that? We've been trying to find something this morning. Okay, so we've now 3 vehicles here, so it's going to be tricky. Off she goes walking in that direction. There's going to be no off-road driving, everybody. We bumped into one of our freelance guides before, and the guest said, "We want to see a lion." I said, "Oh, I'll let you know if there's a lion." And a lot of the radio comms here are actually done on the phone. So we had an elephant bull just before, and she said she wants to see an elephant. Then her guest said, "I want to see a lion." I said, "We'll shout." So I just WhatsApp messaged them. I said, "Lion, lion, lion, come." So now they've come. How cool. How cool indeed. So if she doesn't stay on the road, we won't be able to stay with her, but that's okay. We saw Lagatha on our first night here, and she was just there buying part of clearing. Brent, Leo Smith and VM from Painted Dog told me who she was, but I don't know her. She's just walking up ahead over there. Okay, let's get a little bit busy, everybody. So unfortunately, we're probably not going to be able to follow her for very long. He's giving us a space. Let us go past quickly. Did you see the lion? And they did. Very excited. Very excited. I mean, sort of a hierarchy.
I didn't hear you scream, man.
So there's kind of like I wouldn't say dominance, Mina. There's not really a dominance or anything like that, but there's what we call sort of age. The oldest females generally lead the way. They garner the most amount of respect and that sort of thing, but you wouldn't call it a hierarchy, not like what we see in hyena or anything like that. And she does look rather full, doesn't she? She does look rather full. But she also looks like she's lactating, so I don't think that is Lagatha. No, ooh. That is a lioness with suckle marks, but old. Apparently Lagatha is a new little lioness, everybody, so as far as I'm aware, she shouldn't have a tummy like that. Yeah, those guys don't seem to be coming, so we're going to carry on. Sorry about my head. Sorry about that, Johan. How exciting. So some of you seem to think it's Lagatha, but she's got a belly on her, which looks like it's a food belly, but as far as I was aware, Lagatha was a young lioness and hadn't had cubs before, whereas this one's mammary glands are indicating otherwise to me. Well, this lioness has definitely had before. She's got a proper little belly on her, unless Sunny Lagatha has suddenly become completely pregnant and is about to burst, which is not impossible. But when we saw her the other day, we didn't get a proper view of her body. As she goes around there, we'll just do one more leapfrog before this other car comes. Johan, let me just go quickly. One more leapfrog, and then we can follow her for a little bit, and then we'll just move over. Leapfrog, everyone, it's just one car, one car, one car, one car. Just when the animal's moving in the road like this, it gives everybody the opportunity to have a look. And she is moving towards Impala Plains area where all of those animals were. The cut on the head looks very painful. But they heal, everybody. Don't worry about it. These animals have the most uncanny ability to heal the most heinous looking wounds. Once again, this is why we track on the road. Paul, I'm not sure if it is Lagatha. Lagatha was on her own because her mom and maybe other sisters got killed and that left on her own. But if a lioness is heavily pregnant and looking to den, she could be on her own. And they do often let's go again. They do often end up on their own if they lose the pride. They don't essentially have to be with the pride all the time, but they choose to. And as I said about earlier, that there aren't an enormous amount of lions in this area as far as I've known. Lagatha's been one, but there were lion tracks around HQ yesterday, there were lion tracks that side the day before, so there's nothing stopping these animals from moving in. They move in response to food, and they also move in response to lack of territory. So if there's an open space and no animal has demarcated this territory, there's no scent marking, there's no one calling from this side, there's nothing stopping. She's going to go onto that termite mound. Let me just move forward a little bit for you. You can stay on her. There's nothing stopping her from claiming it. Nothing at all. You know, territories are demarcated. Territories are scent marked. Territories, they call. And if there's no lions calling from this area, then you can move in. It's like a vacant land, everybody. There's no real estate, there's no deals made, there's no I need to pay somebody. Lions just move in if it's available. And if someone else was there, they were demarcated very quickly afterwards. She's relaxed though. So this area's got beautiful habitat. It is all connected to the greater Kruger now, and it's got huge amounts of bird habitat and breeding habitat for many, many animals. And animals choose habitat which suits them for food, for living, and for breeding. And if that habitat becomes available, they move into it. The territorial animals will demarcate what they deem. Oh, she's sneaking up there. I don't think she's seen any food. She's just got that tendency to climb termite mounds to get some height. So Johan and I have been moving in the same sort of area for the last week. Couple of very similar roads to maintain our signal and stay in good places, and finally, Johan, we got a cat. Didn't we say we needed to find a cat before you leave? We did, eh? You said that this morning.
Yes.
You said that this morning. We need to find a cat before we leave. Johan's leaving on Monday morning. I'll be here still until the 9th. So if she is pregnant, I'm not saying she is, whoever this lioness is, she might even be looking for a suitable place to den. And with the lack of other lions calling in this area, there's nothing stopping her doing so. I don't know, though, if it's the wisest of decisions of a lioness who maybe comes from established territory to move out of that territory to den. It doesn't really make sense. But if there's no one else here, and it seems to be vacant, then it could be perfect. She's going to have to battle with the resident hyenas. She is looking for a warthog. She's going to dig. Okay, so this is interesting, everybody. Either she's going to go in there and sleep, or she's going to dig out a warthog. The warthogs would have stayed in the burrows because of the rain. But I'm just going to warn you, in case something does happen, that lions are very good at digging out warthogs. You don't often find leopards digging them out. They do sometimes go in, but lionesses can dig them out, and, well, it looks like she's given up already. But it's a very... Oopsie. There we go. Just checking we still got you there, Mr. Jared. it was also in anticipation for a warthog to pop out. That could have happened. That's what she went off-road for. She obviously smelt something. You can just see the termite mound from here. Why she would be digging out a warthog if she has got a full belly is difficult to say, but it's possible that she might actually be about to burst with babies. We don't know. I can't say for certain who this is. But we shall continue, though. We shall continue. Liz, the mammary glands aren't freshly suckled. That's not what I implied, but the mammary glands have been suckled before, which means she's had cubs in the past. When you see a young lioness, the suckle marks she's never been suckled, so the nipples are quite small. And if it is freshly suckled, you'll actually see that the skin is quite exposed and there's wet patches around it. So in saying that as well, if a lioness is about to pop for the first time, I think as with any pregnant female, you get sort of enlargement in the milk producing glands, and so it starts to change the overall structure. In saying that, here comes the rain, which is not a good thing because we don't have protection for it. So, okay, we're going to have to cover up our stuff, let these other guys go in front of us, and we're going to cover up our rain so that we obviously don't get too wet.
Hi, I'm Sue. I'm from South Africa and I'm the incredibly lucky winner of the Tswalu competition. Tswalu has so much to offer, but we're really looking forward to the game viewing options, as going out with a personal guide who has so much knowledge will just be exceptional. Motsi Lodge looks absolutely amazing and we're so looking forward to spending time there. It really is out of this world. I only registered as an explorer towards the end of January, so when the email arrived stating that I was the winner, it took me totally by surprise. I'd just like to thank Wild Earth and Tswalu for this most incredible prize. It really is a dream come true.
Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
We stopped as the dusk was settling and there was a zebra mare underneath the bush. She was lying down. We didn't really know what was happening, and then we saw it.
Everybody, there's a zebra giving birth there. There's a zebra giving birth. This is a zebra giving birth. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, you clever mare. Well done. It's born, everyone. It's born and it's alive and it looks fine.
This was, of course, an unusual sighting. Normally, herbivores like impala and wildebeest and zebra will give birth during the middle of the day. This is when their predators like lions and hyenas are fast asleep. But as this little foal took its first steps, the dying embers of the day had just gone over the western horizon, and it was just the time that the hyenas and lions were starting to get active and go out foraging. This is why we didn't light up the sighting, of course. It may have compromised the zebra's eyes and at the same time attracted those hyenas and lions to the activity.
Hi, my name is Tristan Dix, and I am a guide here at Djuma Private Game Reserve for Wild Earth. We love connecting you to the African bush, and we always look forward to all of your questions. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you'll need to register on the website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit a question below the live feed. Catch up with me on Wild Earth.
folks, welcome back. I want you to scan over the grass plains just straight in front of us. Look at that, what's just happened there. There's a couple of cheetah that we've literally just found on the tracks coming through as you look at the long distance. These cats are feeling a bit stressed out. It's a mother and 3 cubs. Well, 3, that's the subadults that I was talking about. The wind, as you can see, is stressing these animals out big time. So we're going to try keep a long distance for it first and just show them that we are not here to push them around. But so cool to see those cats in the wilderness on the top of a dune. As we came across, we've seen the tracks, and we were scanning over the area, and suddenly we saw one peeking out on the edge of the dune. So we're going to just keep on going and try to keep up with them and see what we can get. But fantastic, actually, as we were looking at old tracks coming through when you folks were at the other destinations, and then we started working in the direction of where these tracks were going into, and we started picking up on the fresh tracks. We scouted and scanned again, and boom, there they are. So it's that female with the older youngsters. They're about close to 2 years now, those youngsters, and those are the ones we were talking about earlier on that we were trying to look for and trying to see if we can get them in this area. But obviously the wind starting to pick up and actually starting to blow quite strongly over the dune tops. You could see they're trying to get to a position where they're trying to drop down a bit. And so it's not a formation that we're chasing them. Yes, they were looking at us, but it's just because we're one of the features that comes through the area at the moment. But yeah, they were moving in a situation where they're sort of trying to like get to a point of just covering to denser vegetation. And so as the wind is this strong, it gets to a point that they would actually try to take cover as quick as possible behind a bush. Because it is what it is. As they're in that situation, they try to then listen better, smell better, and all try to pick up on all the senses as it is, trying to see what they can do to obviously try to just gain on the benefits there for blocking in behind the bushes, covering the wind a bit. So we're just going to drop down below the dune top here where they've come down. I think they just got such a big fright of the wind coming through in gusts and so on. They're just trying to get out of the open because they were scouting out on the top of the dune earlier on. And now they just dropped down again here to this, closer to this dense section, almost appearing to the 4th ecotype in the west of Tuvalu. Okay, I think I might have seen one there in a distance. Yeah, I can see heads popping out there, but you can see, Morgan, I don't know if you can zoom in there just quickly again to the left-hand side of the tree. They're running through there. Something is happening in a long distance with them. They're trying to take a cover, and it looks like our anti-poaching helicopter is coming through in the distance, just coming through as well. So yeah, those guys, they are the patrolling units that obviously helps protecting our rhinos as it is. And so in this area, reserves and places around us, possibly with the presence of animals like that we're just showing presence as well. This is just maintaining for security purposes. Those cheetahs might have gotten a fright for some air movement, so we're going to just continue going down the dune. But if we don't see them furthermore, just because the wind factor and everything plays a role, we're going to continue going further on, then rather just leave them in that situation. We're going to send you over to Pridelands, back to those lions.
Welcome back, everybody, to Pridelands, where the sun is shining and the rain is falling slightly. It's just a little drizzle. We've managed to get some covers on and we're protecting ourselves, but if it does pick up, we will have to head back. But for the moment, we're still following this beautiful lioness. So what I was talking about before, without knowing much more about her individually, I'm just going to move forward as we go. If she is, for example, pregnant, and it would be, if it is Lagatha, it would be her first litter, then the body starts to sort of do its thing. But when you see a sub-adult lioness, normally you look at the belly and you don't notice the nipples are sort of enlarged and swollen, which seems to be the case with this young lady in front of us. But we're going to follow her a little bit into the dawn and send you over to and beyond Pinder.
Welcome back. So we've got a few developments here to the lion and lioness that we were following earlier. Moved off and we came back to where we saw the cubs moving away, found another lion and lioness plus the 3 cubs, and now it looks like the other male, oh, look at the cubs reacting. They're running away from him. This male hasn't even noticed that his brother's on his way. Oh wow, everyone's running away. Even this male, I don't think he doesn't quite know what they're running from just yet. He's like looking around the wrong side of the bush. He's a bit confused. What is going on? He doesn't even know what's going on. He hasn't seen his brother yet. Turn around. Oh no. It's quite funny. They've run behind the bush. Okay, it's all a bit strange. Okay, they've all kind of run behind this bush that this other male is going behind. I do want to move forward, but I'm very worried that we're going to lose you. Just give it a go and hope for the best. It's a very interesting little he was running. Oh wow. Did you hear that? Oh my gosh. Don't quite know what happened there. That was, I don't know what happened there. I don't know who that was. I can just see the 2 males now. Let's see what happens. Ooh, no, he's acting quite submissive. The one's just lay down behind this bush here. That's the one who's just joined. The one who's been with this female kind of gave him a look, and he literally just lay down at that look. I'm going to move forward a little bit so that you can see this guy behind the bush a bit better. He's acting very submissive. I've got a feeling this might be where that... Oh, there go, Bosani's moved for us as well. Okay, let's see. It's all a bit tense here. I don't quite know why they were all together this morning. But even when we, saw the 3 cubs when they weren't with the lion, I saw 3 cubs when they weren't with the lioness. Yeah, but very interesting stuff. The cubs are hiding behind that tree. And they're all family here. So, I mean, these 2 males are brothers. Obviously, the litter of 3 cubs. Wow, there's loads of vultures flying over our head at the moment. Yeah, and one of these male lions will be the father of those cubs. Doesn't really matter who or which one, because they're of the same blood. So they're just happy that their genetics are being passed on, whether it's through him or the brother. They will fight, though, over mating rights. Wow, what a cool scene. It's just vultures pulling in. There must be that giraffe carcass around here. Oh, this male lion's up. He will definitely want to be involved in that carcass, if that is what they're looking for. He's going to try his luck again. Here's the other male. He's definitely keeping an eye on his brother. How the brother's scent marking. So just so that you can tell the difference. Oh, no. When you do see them together, the one male doesn't have any, his eyes are unblemished. The other male's got, he's missing his one lower eyelid. It's quite obvious. You'll see his one eye, he almost looks like he has a black eye because he's missing that bright white stripe that they have on the lower lid. And that actually did happen during a fight between these two brothers. So you can tell them apart, and they... So interesting how sometimes they can be so loving towards one another and sometimes they can be so aggressive. Look, they are walking towards one another now. Okay, I think... Oh, there they are. They're coming out there. Okay, I think we're gonna try and go around, see if we can get an eyes on the carcass and on what else is going there. Really hope that you can stay with us. We're going to move you over to Trish while we move around here.
It's such a shame that they've lost giraffes to thunderstorms or to lightning, but of course that does happen. But good luck, Kim, finding the carcass and being able to see what would come to it. When there's a carcass like that lying about, the types of creatures it attracts and everybody together as well is quite interesting. But here we have some rain coming down, so I'm going to make a U-turn. The rain can be so localized, it's unbelievable. Mpo and I got completely drenched when we were at Chitwa the other day. And if you were at Buffelshoek or something like that, you wouldn't have gotten drenched at all. My favorite little carnivore. I'm going to just finish up the question that Steph asked, though, about how hippos sleep. Oh, it looks so cute. Dwarf Mongoose here. Very quickly, I said that they could go into a shallow area and have their necessary bits to breathe out or exposed. But they also have an automated mechanism where they can bob up and down while they sleep in the water so they can still get air. Look at these cuties. Whew. I just find them so pocket-sized. I mean, I wouldn't say it to them because it might scare them, but they look like they would fit very well in a pocket. Oh, what have you found there? I guess that's the young group. Yeah, you two, you're gonna grow up together and hang out together? They look like they're gonna be good friends. Well, I'm not sure how old these ones are. They're really difficult to age, but you can see that they're most definitely younger than the others. And by about 10 weeks, they're not reliant on mum, or actually the whole business to feed them. They'll go and can hunt for themselves. Although they'll still be part of the business, they'll only disperse at about 2 to 3 years old. Hello, Crested Franklin. You want to be part of this? Let's see what these little things do as this Franklin passes them. Oh! Franklin got a little spooked, and so did the mongoose. We've been seeing a lot of nice youngsters out. The last few sightings of the Dwarf Mongoose that I've seen. Awesome stuff. Obviously, being born in a time of abundance is the best time and ensures survival. Off they go, moving further and further away into the distance. Debbie, hi. You'd like to know what do they eat? They're carnivores, so their preference, well, basically they eat anything and everything that moves and they can get their hands and teeth onto. But it generally includes scorpions, small invertebrates, insects, worms, small snakes, frogs. If they can manage to get them to get hold of it, they will eat it. In the background, I'm not sure if you can hear, I can hear black-crowned chagra, I can hear a rattling cesticula, I can hear a sudden black tit. Some really nice sounds. Oh. They're all the way at the end of the road now. So as soon as they take that turn, they'll be out of our view. I'm happy to say it has, oh, just as I said, it stopped raining on us. It started again. Last one there, right at the edge. As soon as we move, they'll start to scatter. Bernie, you say they're so cute. I have to agree with you, Bernie. I agree with you 100 times. They are very cute. And there's that last little tail. Lovely. Well, let's move and get an idea of whether I should be turning back or not just yet. Well, we'll go all the way to the northern boundary, and then I will decide, because it's not that bad. I'm so surprised at how few sightings there are today. Not even elephants. Oh, look at this cutie. Look at that. Just hanging out with some mongoose, yo. Look at that. So cute. All right, let me send you over to Steve at Pridelands.
Well, just walking around past the H comp where we park our vehicle. She scared the life out of a little Franklin there. She had another investigation there of a termite mound. It was a very quick one. This is where we had Isilweni the other day. There's a little pan just off of here, and we were following up on monkeys here yesterday morning without any success. Sorry about the fence and about the noise of my vehicle. I'm going to stop now on the second and allow her to walk. And we'll just watch her with her wonderful lioness swagger. Now, if she keeps on at this line, she's going to cross out into Jijan. She walked straight past that herd of impala we spent some time with. They all just lost their minds for a moment, and she stood there not quite sure what to do. Let's carry on a bit forward. Not quite sure what to do, and then impalas just ran all over the place. And then because she just walked forward, they sort of stop and they look at her and snort and just look and don't run away, which is always quite funny. Okay, well, we seem to be dipping again, so let's send you back over to Trishala and Juma.
Still here with our mongoose. We've moved just a little bit, but now there's some squirrels in the mix. And they've all suddenly vanished. Oh, there you go. I love waiting for them. When I know that they're around and just sit and wait, and then you get these little heads pop out. More little heads coming out. I really want to watch them interact with the squirrels. So you know that squirrel that's been hanging around camp that we have become really friendly with, or it's become really friendly with us? Well, I haven't seen him for a while now, but he was becoming a lot wilder, so it doesn't surprise me that he just went off and felt his true nature. And one of the reasons I am not concerned about the fact that we haven't seen him in like a week or 5 days is because he has been interacting with other squirrels and also mongoose. So one time he was sitting on my shoulder as I was walking up to the old FC, and the dwarf mongoose were around the gate and just playing around as they do like this and foraging. And he leapt off of my shoulder onto the ground and went to go play with them. So it's really nice to see how they're interacting with the squirrels and the mongoose interacting together like that. The squirrels are omnivorous, but these guys are carnivorous. So they're not they're not eating fruit and things like that, whereas squirrels most definitely are. Aaron, was it Aaron? You wanted to know if they're related to ferrets? Not really. So they're in the family called Herpestidae, and that includes other types of mongoose as well as meerkats. Even though they may share certain features with ferrets, they're not in the same family as ferrets. So the family that ferrets are in are mastelids. And these guys are not. The mastelids that we get here are like honey badgers. So that's what your ferret is more closely related to. There's also the polecat, which is a mustelid here. I haven't seen one though. So two completely different families. You can definitely see why you would think that they are related to a ferret though, because they do look quite similar. Like a ferret is like a limousine version of a mongoose, visually at least. Actually, I think otters are also mustelids, and the clawless otter we get around here is also one. Anyway, lions, lions, lions. Let me send you over to some more lions.
Okay, welcome back. Everything's settled down, but might pick up again in a moment. Everyone lay down and now, as you can see, they're all up again. And that male with the scarred eye is not letting that female out of his sight. You see the one that doesn't have the scarred eye is, not quite sure whether to follow or not, because he has been reprimanded already. Wait and see what happens here. Little vocalizations between the mother and the cubs. All quite interesting stuff happening here. I wonder if the males don't have kind of preferred females in the pride. Just earlier we were with this lion, with the male lion without the scar, and he was with that other female, and they seemed quite happy together. And that scarred male obviously let them go off together. Whereas now, with this older female and that scarred male is definitely taking charge and asserting his dominance over this specific female. Don't know if it's a case of having a preferred female or if it's just a case of kind of torn or shared domination over the pride in general, just not knowing who to dominate over and, where to assert your authority or where to and when to tell your brother off. We're looking up at that vulture. There's a vulture that's just landed on the tree above them. That's what they're all looking at. Such heavy wing beats, those beautiful big birds. Well, maybe not beautiful, but incredible wingspans and just size. They're up to about a full meter almost. 95 centimeters is how tall they stand, with a wingspan of over 2 meters. So they're quite large birds. I don't know if you'll be able to hear the hissing and screeching that there is in the background. The carcass is a little way off. We can't quite get there. It's a little bit far off the road, and it's a very, very rocky area, so we won't be able to get too close to where it is. But you can, I think. Oh no, don't think you can hear, but maybe you can actually see them all sitting up in the tree there now. The giraffe is just below that, and they are making quite a racket. And there's so many of them that they keep being scared off by one another. To fly off and find roosts maybe a little bit further away from one another. You can see that tree that they're in can hardly hold them all. So I think this one back here has got the right idea. The cubs keep kind of looking up at him above where they are. Maybe the vulture feels like he might have the right idea. He maybe thinks that the lions have a few scraps here that he might get first dibs on if the lions move off. There's the male lion looking up again. Lions will definitely chase vultures away from a carcass. But interestingly, and I was told this the other day, and I don't know how true it is, but now, this morning, spending time with these lions, amongst these two giraffe carcasses that I've spoken about are quite nearby to one another. And the lions, on a couple of occasions this morning, have just walked straight past these carcasses. They seem completely uninterested, and I was told the other day that predators won't feed on a carcass that's been struck by lightning, and I can't think of a reason why that would be. I kind of had a thought that maybe it was to do with the meat being slightly fried or cooked from being struck, but then again, I'm pretty sure that if you cooked a steak and threw it into a lion pen, they would happily eat it. Or maybe I'm wrong. I've never done that before. I've never tried to feed a lion a steak, but yeah, it just seems a very, very interesting phenomenon that they would ignore a very easy meal. And the carcass is very nearby. They are quite full because they've been feeding on that buffalo carcass, but with lions, they can eat a lot more, and they're not as full as I've seen them before. Those cubs could definitely fit quite a bit more in, and so could the male lion. So it is very, very interesting that they are not going over to that carcass. And on top of that, how would they know that it's been struck by lightning? Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing's very arbitrary. I'm not sure. I'm going to do a little bit more research on that, see if anyone has ever delved the reasoning behind that. It's an interesting question. So, with lightning, and like I mentioned, how the meat may actually be a little bit cooked, you would know that it's been struck by lightning just because of there'd be lots of singed hair, so the skin will have burst in some places. It's a very unusual looking carcass. It doesn't look like it's been killed by a predator. There wouldn't be any wounds where you could see teeth like bite marks or claw marks. So kind of singed hair, burst skin from the impact of the lightning, and possibly even that smell of like burning meat or burning fur or hair. Also, quite likely that if it's after a storm and that has had quite a bit of lightning, and there is a dead giraffe that is maybe too big for a predator to have taken down. Predator to have taken down.
Hi everybody, we're on the northern boundary with Jijan. Jijan is on the right of her and Pradas is on the left. So we've managed to get up ahead, park ourselves in the perfect spot for a little walk by. Now, we'll have to get a proper identification of her if we have not done so yet. I'm just going to be quiet for a moment while she walks past and just enjoy this beautiful scene. That is our vehicle. She is a very, very cool lioness, old Lagatha. I think it's Lagatha. You viewers out there would know better than me. We saw her, if it is her, we saw her one evening in the dark from a distance. Oh, and off she goes. Well, I don't know if we can follow her. We're going to try. We're going to keep on this road here, which runs parallel with this one. This is sort of the cut line boundary road. And see if maybe we get another view. Nothing quite like a lioness walking right past you with no door. Ricky, it's usually 3-ish. 3 years old, 3.5. Older than boys. Well, breeding right, should I say. Boys generally don't breed before they're 4, if they're lucky. But females would come into estrus probably as early as 3, maybe 3.5. And then it's a 90 odd day gestation. 90 to 100 days. Very cool. Well, it seems like our cell network is working at the moment, which is good. And here she walks. We've caught up with her again. So essentially what this road would have been is there would have been a fence right here, disconnecting Pridelands from Jijani, which is Bulule. And those were pulled down a few years back. So often we talk about sorry about the power lines there, everybody. Unfortunately, it is along the boundary. We talk about in Djuma all the time, we talk about cut lines. Essentially, cut lines are where old fences used to be. They're generally much wider because there was a road on either side, and they're often managed as well as a fire break, because that means you've got you've got one property, you've got another property, and they all have their own fire management strategies, and you don't want someone else's runaway fire to jump into your property. So these larger sort of roads will eventually probably become one big road, which they'll maintain as a big road, like a Gowrie cut line, for example, or Gowrie Main, should I say, or Triple M, with a fire break maybe on one side or both. Cut lines on these old properties, we're going to move up, often defined by in their very straight nature. It's very easy to do a straight road and a straight fence. These sort of jigger-jagger fences doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to have a jigger-jagger fence. I'm here all morning, everybody, all morning long. We don't really know what her plans are. She hasn't told us. She's just walking. Johan asked me, is she walking off whatever meal she has in her tummy? And we don't know. We didn't see her feeding. I'm pretty sure she has got some food, because she didn't even bother with those impala. There wasn't even a thought about the impala. Just slow little... It's quite a nice perspective, having a cut line with 2 roads, to be able to do these lovely tracking shots that Jandre and David Eastor love so much. Sorry, girl. Sorry, girl. Karen, she is beautiful, isn't she? She's got very pale eyes. Very pale eyes. She's definitely a very pretty lioness. The lioness the other day on Boston, which is sort of in the direction she's heading. And the lioness we saw that was heavily lactating, she was much older than this lioness. Very, very, very pale, in my opinion, to the lionesses we spent time with in Djuma, but they're just slight changes in the coloration between this area and that.
February is the month of love, and nature is no exception. Tristan and Trishala will be igniting the flame to discuss the bonds formed in the African wild. Sign up to become an explorer and join them by the fire on Sunday, the 28th of February. Wild Earth Explorers. It's in your nature.
Converging game path will invariably lead you to a water source, but treat all water as suspect. One of my favorite ways of purifying water is to filter out the particulates. And by just filtering it through your sock, you can clear out most of those. You can put water into a snail shell and you can boil it over a fire or using a chemical like chlorine or colloidal silver.
I'm Nikki here at Ambion Ngala in South Africa. I love getting questions from viewers about all the small things within the environment and how it all is integrated with one another. If you want to ask me any questions, please simply register with the Wild Earth website, head across to the Live Safari page and then post your questions there. I'm looking forward to chatting to you on my next Wild Earth drive.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and I come to you live every day here from Tswalu, Kalahari in South Africa. My favorite bird has to be the social weaver. The enormous nest that they create, their survival tactics to inhabit these harsh and unforgiving environments, and as well as their complex social arrangements is truly remarkable. And the interconnectedness with the ecosystem shows us that we are too.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
Seems like it's a lions and mongoose drive today. A completely different area now. And we found these guys that are slowly emerging from a little termite mound that they've been using for the night. They'll move around using several different termite mounds in their territory. And they have small territories, only about 1 kilometer squared. And they'll spend the night at different mounds in that territory, so don't just stay at one always. They're quite close to us, which is very, very interesting, and also allows us to see and hear them a little bit better. So I'm going to be quiet for just a few seconds so you can listen to them as they squeak. Of course they're going to be quiet when I say that. Fewer youngsters in this group than they were in the last one. If you were wondering about the Hyena Den, I did go past there. It was not active. Sorry, I meant to tell you that earlier. tumble over. So cute. Hi, BK. I'd like to know if mongooses get as big as otters. No, certainly not. These guys are quite small. There's a dwarf mongoose. They're only about 250 to 300 grams. Very, very tiny. And their bodies are only about 20 centimeters or so. With the tail, maybe 30 to 40 centimeters. So they're little guys. They're being quite playful, which is nice. It's just that they're all over the place. So as soon as we concentrate on one part, someone else goes tumbling in another area. I saw two cascading down this, down the mountain just now. Oh, there's quite a little one. Everyone's getting ready to go out foraging. This group obviously woke up a little later than our last business of mongoose that we saw. I love watching them. They're also so aware of us. I like the meerkats in Swallow. Mongoose can, or dwarf mongoose can also get be habituated to human presence, and we may be able to approach them on foot. But it takes a lot of time and dedication, just like the meerkats at Swallow took a lot of time and dedication from many different people to create that bond and trust with the meerkats. So one of the things I'd love to do, if I've got lots of time and I'm out here, is to sit with the business of mongoose and see if in any way we can habituate a small group to give us some great sightings. Anyway, we were just talking about Swallow, so how about I send you over?
Welcome back, folks. Look at this beautiful entrance-like situation happening here. It's a very interesting structure happening here. As you can obviously see, we've left that area where we had that female cheetah with her youngsters. The wind was quite strong. As you can still hear the wind being extremely strong still in this area. It's just stressing out the animals a bit more in that formation. So we've rather just left that animal as she was a bit worried with the wind formation there. So we just left that area completely, just respecting her as she disappeared off into the thickets there. But coming back to this beautiful, interesting structure here, you can see on the beginning of this, like it looks like a channel or like a passage coming up into this area. And there, as Morgan is framing that tracks very nicely, it's very cool actually seeing those tracks. Now these are the porcupine tracks that goes into here, and you can see they were hard at work here last night. As I was saying early this morning when we spoke about those coils of the porcupine, it's really cool seeing. Now I've explained and I've touched a tiny bit on the subject of how these holes get started, but generally just one hole, as the aardvark will dig a hole in an area like this, and so it gets to a point that then the aardvark will leave after about 2 weeks or so, because then otherwise, if the aardvark feeds continuously at dramatic amounts and at a huge pace actually at night, feeding on an area with termites and ants and so on, so then they will abandon the hole and it's just completely open. And then porcupines will come along, and this is where they will hollow it out in many different chambers and channels. Where Morgan is zoomed in there, it goes around the corner there into that spot where he's at now, behind that little bush, and there it drops about, believe it or not, about 2 to 3 meters on the ground, where you can still see So I could literally walk in there standing up. And the soils in the bottom of the dune streets are quite much harder, actually. And it reaches to a certain depth where you can actually stand up walking into these burrows. It becomes almost like a cave. But if you look at the different channels that goes into here, it's so interesting because it becomes eventually a big family unity that lives in a burrow system like this. And you could get to a spot in time where you could get like a family of 6 porcupines. The most porcupine youngsters I've seen from a burrow like this was about 5 of them walking out and about. And obviously with their 2 parents. But yeah, very cool actually seeing this formation. As we spoke about the coils this morning, now this adds up to the story of what we spoke about. Very interesting thinking about how big this is now. In the whole screen, as it's framed now, we're looking at about a radius of about roughly 15 to 16 meters all the way around the edge of this burrow system channels as it comes through. But yeah, still only one entrance way down at the bottom, one central concentration of an entrance down at the bottom, but many different entrances and passages from many different directions. Now, as Morgan's going to zoom into the front of this burrow system right here, you're going to see there, very interesting how they hollow out, coming back to the cedar tracks here that you can see on the front end of this passage. There's a little twig and a stem that's like sort of, it looks like it's buried underground, or just a few drops. There we go, we reached that spot. So you can see how the porcupine is even duck in, he's obviously, as he's digging out the soil and hollowing it out and so on, it's basically where they chew the roots and tubers basically of these particular plants in this environment and so on. So a lot of moisture from roots, tubers in this environment that they pick up on close to the burrow systems, close to the dune streets ends. Coming back to like we spoke very much about the eland's bean a couple of days ago, talking about big roots and tubers that they have as well, and so that the porcupines will make use of in this environment for that nutrients. But yeah, sometimes at the entrances of these burrow systems and so on, you could easily get to a point where you'll find old abandoned carcasses from hyenas and hyenas that's been leaving remains of bones and carcasses and so, and then you get to a point that they drag it back into these burrow systems. Before we went live, I wanted to get to a point where we could actually see some of those bones, but there was unfortunately no bone material being put into there, dragged into the burrow system. But yeah, pretty cool. We're going to take you over to a beautiful carcass on the other side of the country.
Welcome back. Sorry for this rather morbid sight. But we just thought that we'd come back and check the buffalo carcass that the lions left. Reason being that last night there was a male leopard seen hanging around the area while the lions were still here. So I was thinking, now that the lions have moved off, it's possible that that leopard might have decided to move in now that the danger is gone. But this buffalo is in a very tough position, right inside some water. And we drove around the other side of it, and you can actually see like quite a lot of it has been eaten. But I did also just want to correct myself. Luckily, when we were there with the lions and I was talking about giraffe and animals being struck by lightning, our habitat manager, Charlie, was behind me. So I just questioned her about whether or not she'd ever seen animal or predators feeding on a carcass that had been struck by lightning, and she says that she has. So that is not true. So I just wanted to correct myself there. So it seems that predators will feed on a carcass that has been struck by lightning. She just thinks that maybe those giraffe carcasses are a bit too rancid for the lions, they're a little bit too rotten. So interestingly, lions, well, they do eat extremely rotten meat, but some meat can be too rotten for lions, apparently. I'm quite interested by that because I've seen lions feed on horrifically rotten stuff, like where the maggots are just falling out. So, yeah, I've learned something new. And apparently leopards will feed on the most rotten meat. Then it's hyenas, then lions, and then cheetah. Cheetah wants to feed on the freshest the freshest of carcasses, just because they are most vulnerable to other predators and they don't want the smell of their carcass that they're feeding on to attract other predators that might be a danger or a threat to them. There's a yellow-billed kite hovering overhead, so that is what might start to come in now, if not leopards, but maybe other scavengers like the yellow-billed kite, like some vultures as well. But like I said, it's in quite a difficult position. This yellow-billed kite might do well to get some tidbits from here. Just by himself, he may be able to stand on the actual body of the carcass, but yeah, a group of vultures might be quite tough for them to get involved here. Right, I think that we've spent enough time with this very inactive sighting. We're going to send you over to Trish.
We have swung around back towards quarantine, so we have all these wonderful antelope to look at, or some zebra and some impala. Rather ungulates, shall we say, since they group together in that way. Odd and even-toed, yeah? It's the same small herd of zebra we saw earlier, and we have this wonderful herd of impala that have moved through. Really nice big herd as well. The weather is sure to make the herd stick together. On days where it's nice and still and warm, you'll find them dispersed all over quarantine. But weather like this, breezy, overcast, they stick together. And sometimes you may see different antelopes sticking together as well. Kudus, nyalas, impalas, wildebeest, all together. And now you can see we've even got some zebra in the mix. Amber, that's an excellent question. You'd like to know if prolonged wet conditions causes any type of hoof damage or disease. I really don't know. I don't have much experience with horses either. But we know that they have basically the same type of hoof, with just very subtle differences. So if there are issues that you'd find with a domestic horse that are linked to excess moisture, I'm sure that it could affect zebras too. Maybe to a lesser extent, because being out in the bush and wild, too many problems with hooves could result in death, and then those individuals with genes for certain parts of the hoof that are more susceptible would die off. So I assume that they're a little bit more robust, the hooves, than our domestic equine friends, but still susceptible to certain things that horses are susceptible to, because the structure of their hoof is so similar. It's a small group, this family, Equidae. It just includes zebras, horses, and donkeys or asses. That's it. Small group and all very similar. Except that zebras were never managed to be domesticated. Lindsay, you'd like to know if breeding pairs of zebra always stay in the same herd? Well, they aren't really breeding pairs. So what it is one stallion and many females, and we call that a harem. When there's one male and many females, it's called a harem. Hippos also have that kind of social system, and so he will mate with all of the females in his group. So they don't stick together, or at least not to one female. And then your other part of the question leads me to basically explain that the males will not always stay the same either. So another male could come in and fight for this male's harem and then take over. So there's no sticking together of the mating pairs. Whoever is in his harem, and he'll collect other females into his harem as well. Maybe a male will collect, another male will come and collect the female from his harem. So it moves quite a bit with who mates with who, or whom. Both the mountain zebra and these plains zebras have that kind of system with the stallions, or one stallion, multiple mares, and the foals. But a Grevy zebra, they don't have that kind of social system. Theirs is more promiscuous, and there's territories established by the stallions, and then they will try and lure or push females into their territory and then mate with them, and then that's much more promiscuous because they're going in and out of the territory, so there's no collection or harem of mares. I always find zebras so striking in the bush. There's nothing else that can resemble them. Mandy, you'd like to know what these dark bumps on the lower legs of the impalas are? They're called Fetlock Glands, or metatarsal glands. And just there on the back legs. They kind of look like two big moles. But their purpose is not well understood. But the idea or the thought is that somehow it allows the impalas to regroup after they've been scattered by use of volatile chemicals, so chemicals that can easily evaporate, and so they can be smelled easily by other members of the herd. You might say pheromones, but we don't really understand what it is. All we think is that it leaves some sort of chemical signature as the impala runs off so that they can regroup. The green of the bush makes everything just look that much better. Oh, we have to the party joining some kudu. All the way to our left. Watching herbivores is a very peaceful experience. You just sit and enjoy. What would make this even better? Although I shouldn't be greedy. Would be some elephants. There's some kudu just moving out of sight and behind that bush. Luna, that is a good question. You'd like to know if zebras and impalas benefit from being with each other or feeding together, being together. They do. Any antelopes, whenever antelopes come together, they are benefiting in a very fundamental way. That is more eyes, more ears. There's also a height difference. So what the impalas may see or hear will not be at the same eye level as the zebras. So in order to protect themselves from any predators, the more eyes and ears they have in this group, and the different strength of the different senses, and things like different heights and stuff like that, is very beneficial. Because if the zebra starts alarming and gets nervous about something, the impala will too, and vice versa. Same goes for the kudu. But they don't benefit from each other in the feeding sense. It's not as if the impala are cropping the grass and then make it easier for the zebra or anything like that. That relationship exists between zebras and wildebeest. I see some of our really young males are starting to get tiny, tiny little horns. Just kind of bumps on their heads. I saw one just now. If I see him again, I will point him out. Isn't it peaceful to just watch them? You can hear a soft plucking of the grasses as they move through. Remember, these guys are not in competition at all. Zebras are bulk grazers. They have no threat to the impala. The impala are just eating bits of grass here and there, not in bulk. They'll be browsing as well because they're mixed feeders. The kudu that came past now hiding behind a bush, they're browsers. So everybody is just fitting in. But still enough in common, such as being herbivores and looking out for predators. This little one in front of us here keeps picking its head up and looking at us. Oh, I'm poor sorry to drag you across, but I've just seen the youngster with the small horns. It's just walking onto the road now. There we go. Oh, pick your head up. Look at those tiny things. Look, Mama Daika. So peaceful. Lovely. Well, I'm going to send you over to Swallow. And we're going to stick around here hoping for some elephants.
Welcome back, folks. So we have literally come across these dunes. We've bypassed quite a bit of animals that was hiding in the bush. and quite a bit in amongst dense vegetation. We've seen quite a lot of oryx and eland and lots of different antelope, but as you can see, yes, there's loads and loads of animals just hiding this morning, trying to well, not really hiding, but trying to tuck themselves in behind bushes and so, and if they're out in the open, they just move off and run. Looks like there's a territorial male wildebeest coming up in front here as well. That's coming across. There's some oryx to our right that's also hiding, also trotting across, and a roan antelope to the left-hand side as well. Another roan antelope. But yeah, this oryx is actually quite nicely represented on the right-hand side here. See the wildebeest coming out on the right-hand side with the oryx. Looks like he's still got like a spaghetti vein coming out there. It's actually not a spaghetti vein, but yeah, one of the creepers of some of the Maremia plants that's in the area. And wildebeest, like the oryx, is actually quite strong selective grazers, eating on geospecific sweetgrass species, but there's such a huge nutritional value in some of these creepers that they continue eating on as well. So yes, they can adjust a bit from being selective grazer to eating, just looking for that nice nutritional value, nice territorial bull. And he's obviously joined by these guys in this territory. Beautiful oryx bull coming through there as well. And look at the amount of white colors and markings in the face, as we spoke about it earlier with regards to the roan antelope, looking at that beautiful amount of white in the face. And this is why this antelope is definitely one of the most predominant antelope in the Kalahari. That antelope in the Kalahari is the Kalahari image together. But so gorgeous seeing that coming together and so on. But yeah, that roan antelope that we were talking about, yes, he's just moved off, just ran off across towards the edge of the dune street, towards the bushes on the side again. Looks like he's moved off completely towards that edge. But yeah, these antelope are obviously a lot of territorial animals coming together here because it's not herd animals. And so in that situation, they are just helping each other out for comfort in this formation because of the wind being so strong this morning. So being in that situation, that they, being a territorial bull, obviously they're being solitary in their territories. Some of them are in coalitions together, forming up for safety numbers. But yeah, in this situation, they are just different species helping each other out in their territorial formations. We're going to take a drive over the dune top and see what we see on the other side. Your smaller predators and other animals that is going to be afraid of this wind, especially trying to tuck themselves in, is definitely going to be a bit more difficult from now onwards. It's midday. It's going to get the heat of the day as well, so animals will definitely be trying to tuck in, try to lie down on the edge of these bushes and in the shade, well, cover off. And the grasses are quite tall in this area as well, so being so tall gets to a point that they hide away also quite a bit. We're going to speed up. Oh, it's a stunning sable antelope. As I was about to, going to speed up just to get over to the dune top. Stunning sable just popping out there too, and he just disappeared in behind the dune top as well, as there's quite a bit of top of this dune. Because we're going to need a bit of momentum. I wanted to just get to that point where we could quickly see him. Oh, there's a Cory bustard flying across as well. Yes, there's lots of activity actually, but everything's just trying to hide. That Cory bustard is also gone. Everything's trying to disappear from any sound movement that's coming through in a certain given area and so on. Because everything that approaches an area is a surprise factor to animals at the moment with the wind. So we're going to just speed up a bit to get to this dune top. And look at that gorgeous view. I actually just want to turn in here quickly just to show you guys a bit of this stunning view between the mountains and the dunes of this area. Beautiful, beautiful. Just look at that gorgeous view stretching out in the bottom from this the first dune top, if you wish, from the mountains going out west. Such a stunning view coming at this area. And you can hear the wind actually just coming through again over there. But yeah, lots of animals trying to hide, trying to get away. If they've been surprised, just run off. That typical incident. See the wind on the grasses as well, pushing through quite a bit. But what a gorgeous view. I agree with everybody. It is a stunning time in Tswalu looking at this this gorgeous, gorgeous, fantastic view coming out and about. It's nice to come over back from the dunes and you look across to this landscape with the Koranenberg Mountains in the backdrop of the first dune top as you go out west from the mountains. So amazing just hearing that wind breeze yet. I mean, yes, it's a stressful time for animals, but it's so stunning to just hear the peaceful sounds coming through for us as humans, if I can put it that way. But yeah, just looking at that and you get the feeling of peace and calmness and grace happening with that view.
Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm here in Northern California.
This is an Anna's hummingbird. We love seeing him because he brings a little magic and energy to our cold, wintry backyard.
In the winter, they politely visit one at a time, but in the summer, they gorge themselves in groups to prepare for their long migration south. As the hummingbirds fly south, over 1 million of these Canadian geese travel the Pacific Flyway from the Arctic to spend the winter with us. They like wetlands and we're in a drought, but they seem pretty happy on the dry bank of Folsom Lake here. This has been a tough year everywhere, but one good thing was we found Wild Earth, who encouraged us to relieve our stress through nature. There's a saying that a distraction is momentary, an escape helps you heal.
Being a safari driver requires some serious multitasking ability. You've got to be able to talk, look at the road, steer, and occasionally get the vehicle into the right gear.
Do not crash into any trees. Oh, that's a dozy.
Just jump into the car and hope for the best, and you'll see where it takes you. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm surprised they're moving as fast as that didn't go well.
Who is the best driver? Well, me, of course, although some of the cam ops might disagree.
My name is Ross, and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinde Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is the call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops. Oof.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
We're just still sitting here and enjoying it because it's so, so wonderful to sit with all these herbivores. I'm just going to be quiet. I want you to hear the sound. That is the sound of an impala ewe when they call their youngsters. It's quite an odd sound. And I'd like to bring your attention to the tail of this zebra closest to us, who's obviously missing the tuft. It's waving around violently. Looks like it's left a bit of a patch on the side of the animal there, from there not being a soft hairy bit. See, there's a nice example with the zebra behind it that has that nice long lush tail. So the one without the end of the tail must suffer quite a bit with flies and other pests, because it's much more difficult to get rid of them with a stubby tail like that. And one thing I wanted to mention to you about zebras as well, because a couple days ago, when we're out here, it all leaks, merges into one day, but I'm sure it was a couple days ago, I was asked about whether there's any natural cross-species or breeding that goes on. Hello, yellow-billed oxpecker. And we had quite a lengthy discussion about it, and then I also went back and I did some reading, and there has been evidence of interbreeding naturally between plains and Grevy's zebra. So that's not people breeding them, because people do breed zebra and donkey and make zonkies. I've seen one of those recently, but that's all man-made. But the Grevy's and plain zebra have been known to interbreed, and there has been evidence of that. But then in our discussions previously, we spoke about how even if animals do interbreed, they're not going to produce fertile offspring. And this was a great example, because the offspring of the Grevy's and the plain zebra were not followed conclusively, but it is very, very, very likely that they were infertile. Because apart from small genetic differences, they actually have a different number of chromosomes between those two species. So it's unlikely that they would have produced fertile offspring. But I thought that was an interesting example, since we see zebras around. And we know why that didn't work, because of the chromosomal number. So between very similar species, it might happen. But even between similar species, there are a lot of things genetically that can be different. They even you can get a zoni, which is a cross between a zebra and a pony. Leslie, you'd like to know, why do zebras have a mane? That is an excellent, excellent question. A mane provides a way to make yourself look bigger, especially one that's on the crest, like that, going down the back. Provides a way to make yourself look bigger. And with zebras, it can actually indicate the health of a zebra. If it's not standing up straight, then there may be some health and nutrition concerns with that zebra. Apart from that, if you watch them and they have flies or pests around their faces, when they swing their heads, the hairs of that mane, like that, just like that, kind of act a little bit like a tail. And swoosh anything away. Oh, look at this zebra is behaving very, very well today. Extra pay for you today, zebra. Showing us exactly what we're talking about. I find their geometric patterns stunning, but my favorite part is the geometric pattern on the face, that diamond. Too beautiful. Well, we've had an epic morning. Lots and lots of lions. That lion sighting in Pridelands is beautiful and special. So let's hope for even better this afternoon.